Hey there, it's Susan Peirce Thompson, and welcome to the weekly vlog. So, I have a really sweet story to share with you today, and a very important addition to the Bright Line Eating science, the framework that we talk about around here when it comes to food and addiction and eating and sustained weight loss and peace and neutrality and serenity with food. So, let's dive in. The story starts with me making a phone call about an hour ago to a woman named Chloe Annitz. And Chloe, I found out when she picked up the phone. At first, she didn't pick up the phone, which I was like, oh no, I want to shoot this vlog now. Please pick up the phone. So I called her, I texted her, I called her again. And then I was kind of pacing around going, oh, what am I going to do? I want to shoot this vlog now, which is, of course, my fault, leaving everything to the last minute, as I do. And then I got this text back from her. I just finished a run. I'm going to call you in a second. I'm just getting into my car. So she calls me back, and Chloe Annitz is about to celebrate 1 year in Bright Line Eating. And she has binge eating disorder, and she was referred to Bright Line Eating by her therapist. So she went into therapy for her binge eating, and her therapist has expertise in internal family systems parts work and EMDR. So already I love this therapist. This sounds amazing. And the therapy was going great, except that the binge eating behaviors weren't budging. They were still happening. And so after a time, Chloe's therapist said, I think you might need a structured program. I'm going to refer you to Bright Line Eating. So now obviously I love this therapist more because I'm so biased. So Chloe starts doing Bright Line Eating, and it takes, and her binges completely stopped, just stopped on a dime. And Chloe's been bright for 1 year sometime this week. So it's so funny. This is the sweetest part about this phone call. She said, I had told myself that I was going to talk to you for the first time ever live on the phone this week for my birthday. And I said, how did you manifest this? Like, I just called you out of the blue. And she said, I know. She said she was going to call into the accountability call on the day when I do the call and celebrate her 1 year and get to talk to me live that way. But that was what she was thinking. She was thinking, for my 1 year bright birthday, I'm going to talk to Susan Peirce Thompson on the phone. And out of the blue, I called her. So why was I calling Chloe Annitz? Well, it turned out that rewind the story, about 3 weeks ago or something, I was in a meeting with the Bright Line Eating coaches, and one of them said something that floored me. In its power, its truth, its simplicity, and its scientific validity. And I hadn't thought of it. I didn't know where it came from, but it was really the first kind of big piece of the Bright Line Eating scientific puzzle that I'm aware of that I didn't come up with. The scientific puzzle that we talk about here, the scientific framework that we talk about here, it's not available out there anywhere else. No one out there really is researching the link between food addiction and weight loss the way we think about it here. It's just not available out there, right? So I remember sort of piecing together from, stuff I learned in neuroscience and the psychology of eating and food addiction. There's research out there on food addiction, but not the relationship between food addiction and weight loss, like someone who's stuck in the grip trying to deal with a weight problem and a food addiction problem and all that. So anyway, this coach on the call just said this thing. And I said, wait, what? Say that again? Here's what she said. She said, well, Bright Lines 1 and 2, they handle the substance addiction. And Bright Lines 3 and 4, they handle the process addiction. Bright Lines 1 and 2, those are the lines for sugar and flour. They address the substance addiction piece, the processed food addiction piece of food addiction, the substance part, the part that's like drugs, right? And Bright Lines 3 and 4 for meals and quantities, the boundaries around those behaviors, they address the process addiction, the behavioral addiction that's akin to gambling or watching pornography, right? The addiction that's part and parcel of wanting to do something because you're addicted to the doing of it. And I heard that and I was like, that's spot on. That is so true. Now rewind the story even more. It was sometime just in the last year that I got clear in my mind that food addiction counts as both a substance addiction and a process addiction. I don't hear anyone else out there talking about it that way. I hear it talked about as an addiction, as not an addiction, or as a behavioral addiction, but I don't hear anyone identifying that it is both a substance addiction and a process addiction. I think most often it's actually identified as a process addiction, which is interesting. I'm not sure why exactly. Yeah, because sugar is obviously clearly super addictive, and I think the general society is coming along with that. I don't think most people think of flour as addictive, but we know that to be true here. Anyway, Bright Lines 1 and 2 handle the substance addiction. Bright Lines 3 and 4 handle the process addiction. Why should you care? Why should you care? So what? Well, when I called Chloe, I was trying to find the source of this wisdom. I thought Chloe had come up with it. The coach who told me about it, I believe was Joanne Campbell Rice, I believe. And she said, oh, I didn't think of that. A bright lifer in our community thought of it. And she reached out to JP. Now JP is on the Bright Line Eating team as well. And it turns out that the source of this wisdom came in a back and forth exchange online between Chloe and JP. JP essentially had posted a series of posts called Lessons from the Ditch, struggling with his food. I've talked about him in various vlogs. And one of the things he said is that he had learned that he should not ignore Bright Lines 3 and 4, that they matter. That he knows he's addicted to sugar and flour, but he'd been trying to help himself by just not eating sugar and flour, but letting Bright Lines 3 and 4 go, right? And what he realized by doing that experiment was that it's Bright Lines 3 and 4 that keep the part of the brain quiet that otherwise is hounding you for eating, just the eating behavior. Can I eat more now? Can I eat more now? How about now? How about now? Is now a good time to eat? Can I eat more now? Can I eat more now? And this is what we call food chatter, and this is what we call not having peace. Not having peace. Peace, serenity, neutrality with food. After you've been here in Bright Line Eating for a while, that becomes the goal. Often we come for the vanity, but we stay for the sanity. Now, I didn't make up that delightful quote. That comes from 12-step food programs. But we come for the vanity, we stay for the sanity, and it's peace and freedom from that incessant chatter that becomes the goal. We can get freedom from the craving, the physiological craving for processed foods by not eating sugar and flour. But if we let Bright Lines 3 and 4 go, we lose our peace. We have a brain that's always suggesting that we might want to eat a little bit more, that we might want some now, that maybe we didn't have enough, that maybe we need a little bit more. How about now? How about now? It is maddening. So as we go into the new year, I just want to orient you toward peace and serenity with food. And to remind you that Bright Lines 3 and 4 are what deliver on that promise of neutrality and freedom with food. So that's why you care. That's why it matters. because it's not just enough. It's really not enough. You might think it's enough. It is not enough to be in a bright body if you're still hounded by your mind and your brain when it comes to food. It is not enough. It is not enough. That is not bright. And the sheen off that, yay, I'm in a smaller size. Oh my gosh, that fades so fast when you're hounded by your brain. So we are coming to a new year, and I want to ask you, how bright do you want to be? How free do you want to feel? And in next week's vlog, I'm going to talk about an exciting end of year, new year endeavor that we're going to launch together as a Brightline Eating community. It's going to be super fun. And it has to do with the book Resume, which is being published on December 28th, which is coming up super fast. And it also has to do with the awareness that I had recently with this big membership pivot that we did, how many of us are just yearning for a bright beginning, right? And so this turn of this new year is going to be a special one together. It really is. And I'll explain why next week. So thank you, Chloe. I'm so happy that we got to talk I called you out of the blue a couple days in advance of your promise to yourself that you would talk to me live on the phone for the first time at your 1-year anniversary. I think that is so delightful. You just manifested that right out of the sky. And thank you, JP and Joanne and Chloe, for together creating the clarity of this truism that Brightlines 1 and 2 handle the substance addiction, Brightlines 3 and 4 handle the process addiction. Oh my gosh, so much wisdom in that framework. And it just to say one last thing, which is just so weird to me and amazing. Nowhere in the comments was it that crystal clear, but somehow it got communicated in a way that Joanne then communicated it to me with perfect clarity, which means that this might be the first game of three-way telephone in the history of humanity that sharpened a message and resulted in something on the end of the telephone chain being sharp, clear, lucid, perfect, and better than it was, and the same message, just better than it was when it started. So thank you, JP, Chloe, and Joanne for being a part of this miraculous telephone chain that delivered this message to me. And now I get to share it with all of you. So that is the weekly vlog. I will see you next week.